As you can see, my hard drive's almost completely filled up. This is a really old computer, old laptop I just dug out to try to do some video editing on. My shop computer is just the one that came with my CNC machine and was built to a minimum spec just to accomplish the task of the CNC machine. So I'm going to be putting in an SSD that's a mSATA, which is I guess mini SATA. That one is fairly small. I think it's 256 gigs. Then I'm going to transfer the operating system onto that one so that I can put in two regular SATA SSDs. I'm going to try to run those in a RAID 0 so that the speeds are much faster for transferring video in and out and all that kind of stuff. The laptop battery is completely shot. This thing won't work even for a fraction of a second without the power cord. So I got a new battery for that. The time down here, it doesn't keep every couple hours. I've got to reset it, or at the very minimum every single time I turn the computer on, because if the time's out of sync then you can't access most web pages. And that takes a little button cell battery. I got some of those, so I'll be putting that in today too. And I got a little piece on the side of the laptop, a little cover piece that's broke off. I'll be trying to super glue that back in place and see if we can get this thing to be a decent computer to edit, because the shop computer has no graphics card at all, just the motherboard. This computer, at least when it was new, was a good computer. It was pretty fast. Had I think I had an upgraded graphics card. I don't even remember, but it has a graphics card at least. So hopefully I'll be able to do some editing on this and keep my eye out for a cheap used graphics card on eBay, because the graphics card prices are just outrageous right now. And we'll come back after the hard drive's on. Alright, first got to remove the battery. Yep, all the pieces I need are under one panel. Alright, so this battery here is responsible for keeping the time and the date and probably some other little things. And when that's dead, every time you turn the computer on, it doesn't know what day and time it is. I haven't used this computer in probably 3 years, and it was having that problem back then. So this will take care of that. This little slot here, which took me a while to figure out what it was for. Well, I figured it was for a hard drive, but I couldn't find anything about what kind until I actually counted the pins. And then I did a Google search for, what memory module uses this type of pins. And it turns out it's one of these. It's an SSD. It's an mSATA. This one's 250 gigabytes. So then I'm going to transfer the operating system from this drive onto this little drive, and then I'm going to put two more, just toss that one out or use it for something else, put two more solid state drives in these slots, which I only have one right now. I need to order another one. Here's the thing. This one, they had one that was 500 gigabytes, I only got the small one just because I want to use this for mainly just the operating system, um, and probably a few of the programs, but most everything else I want, all the storage, just the two bigger drives just to be for all the files and stuff all the YouTube videos and other edits and stuff like that. Well, that worked out nice. There we go. So there's two problems fixed, hopefully. This is probably one of the biggest inconveniences, is having to keep it plugged in 24/7 the whole time you're using it. This battery is just a cheap one I found on Amazon. It was like 35 bucks. I would have replaced it years ago, but years ago I only found it on from HP, and it was like 130 bucks or 200. I don't know, it was something really expensive. For 30 bucks, I'll risk having one that's lower capacity than they say it is, which is a good possibility. Different plastic, but who cares? Oh, I'm also going to be replacing the RAM. This is 6 gigabytes. The computer supposedly only goes up to 8 gigabytes, but I saw someone said if you put 16 gigabytes, it'll still work as 16 gigabytes, but the computer will only say 8 gigabytes on the BIOS, but in Windows itself it supposedly will read the full 16 and actually increase the speed like it's supposed to with 16. I can't believe I didn't do this stuff years ago. That was way easier than I expected. Those little tiny screws were harder than I expected, but that's life when you got one hand. Let's see if it'll start up without having that cord plugged in. Hopefully this battery comes shipped with a little bit of a charge. I'm going to be putting this drive in today. The mSATA drive I put in was not compatible. This motherboard's compatible with it, but after doing some research, there's two CPUs that this computer was offered in. One of them would accept that micro SSD, and this one here doesn't. So I took that out, returned it. It's been a few days, I've been really busy. Oh, I also had to wait for this to come in. This is the saddle that holds it in place with the little rubbers on the corner. And more importantly, the cord connector. It's so light you can tell it's only like, it's probably only packed right in this area with some, with the actual memory, because you can get these things 4 or 8 terabytes. I don't know how big they go, but this is only half a terabyte. It's like crazy light. This one here is much older, it's heavier, and it's only 128 gigs, I think. There we go. In the right way, I think. Might fit a little better. Trim that. Cable's long. I guess on some of them, there's certain situations you must be able to do like that. I don't know. That might not need to be trimmed over there. I think the case will push it down. Yeah, this panel pushes it down good. And I'll boot this up and open the screen capture and show you the, I'll just show you that it's in. Just before I open the screen record, I opened Disk Manager and it asked me to initialize the disk. I did. Now this unallocated disk, just create simple volume, next, folder E, next, or drive E. We're gonna rename it storage 1. Alright, after a short time this should come up. Ignore that. I guess that's done already. Usually this bar right here changes to a different color, like a greenish color. Let's see if it shows up here. Yep, there it is. So now it's ready to use. It'll be nice because I can't even put any programs left on this thing because it's got what, 10 gigabytes free?